Assalamu alaikum students. Today we are discussing the salient features of the reproductive system before studying the journal embryology. So what is reproductive system? The production of offsprings by organisms is called reproduction, and the reproductive process ensures the survival of species. And this all occurs through reproductive system. Now this reproduction process of reproduction occurs in two ways, asexual and sexual. The sexual reproduction occurs in higher species and it involves the presence of individuals of two sexes, male and female. Sexually mature male and female produce specialized reproductive cells called gametes, and union of the male and female gametes starts a chain of events that eventually results in formation of an embryo that will mature as part of next generation. So the reproductive system of the male as well as female human being consists essentially of four components. So there are four components of the male and female reproductive system. Number one is the primary sex glands, or called as gonads. Primary sex glands called gonads. And these gonads or primary sex glands, these produce gametes. Number second is system of genital ducts. System of genital ducts. System of genital ducts, collectively known as genital tract. The genital ducts are concerned with the transport of gametes. The female genital tract serves the additional function of lodging the offspring during the prenatal development. Now, third component of the reproductive system is accessory sex glands. Accessory sex glands, which produce secretions that help in the process of reproduction. And fourth component is the external genitalia. External genitalia, which are externally visible structures of the reproductive system. Now, starting from the male reproductive system, the male reproductive system is designed to produce male gametes, that is the spermatozoa, and to convey these into female genital tract. So the components, now we will do again the components of the male reproductive system as I have told you in the previous slide. So number one was the primary sex gland or the gonad, a pair of male gonads known as testes. So gonads in male, or the sex glands which produce the germ cells, these are in male known as testes, and they are paired. Then a system of male genital ducts consisting of vasa efferentia, duct of epididymis, ductus deferens, and ejaculatory ducts. And in male, the urethra also serves as a genital duct. So here you can see from the testes, in the testes lies the efferent ductules, vasa efferentia, that is vasa efferentia, and then the duct of epididymis. This is the duct of epididymis, and this is the vas deferens going inside the abdomen, and then vas deferens is emptying into the ejaculatory ducts, and these ejaculatory ducts are opening into the urethra. So this is the root. Now the accessory sex glands in male include the seminal vesicle. Here you can see the seminal vesicle. This is the seminal vesicle and the prostate gland. And third one is bulbourethral gland, which are not shown here. So three accessory sex glands, seminal vesicle, prostate and bulbourethral glands, which secretions help in the process of reproduction. Now last is the external genitalia that include the scrotum and the penis. Scrotum is the sac-like structure present outside the male body, lodging the testes, so that the spermatogenesis can be done at a lower temperature than the body. And then the penis, the male organ which functions both for the reproductive system, for the passage of the semen, as well as the urinary system for the passage of urine. So testes, the reproductive organ. Now here you can see the testes are paired oval glands measuring about 5 cm in length and 2.5 cm in diameter. They lie within the scrotum, which is the fleshy pouch suspended below the perineum anterior to the anus in the external genital area. Now each testis is covered by a capsule of dense fibrous connective tissue, which is known as the tunica albuginea. So here you can see a dense fibrous connective tissue known as tunica albuginea covering the testes. Now fibrous partitions called septa, they extend from the tunica albuginea into a series of internal, and they from the tunica albuginea into the testes, and they divide it into a series of internal compartments. Now these compartments are known as lobules. Each lobule contains 1, 2, 3 intricately coiled tubules called the seminiferous tubules. So these are the seminiferous tubules. These tubules contain two types of cells: the spermatogenic cells, from which spermatozoa are produced, and the Sertoli cells, that are the supporting cells for the spermatogenic cells. I will show you in the next diagram. A network of thin tubules called rete testes provides passage for the spermatozoa from the seminiferous tubules to the vasa efferentia. So these are the rete testes and these are the vasa efferentia, which are opening. So here you can see the histological section of the testes and the Sertoli cells. These are the large pyramidal cells, Sertoli cells, and in between the Sertoli cells lies the germ cells in various stages of development. Now in between these seminiferous tubules, in the interstitium lies cells which are known as interstitial cells of Leydig that secrete male sex hormone known as testosterone. So this is the section, histological section of the testes, showing the, here you can see the seminiferous tubule, section of seminiferous tubule, in which lies two types of cells, the Sertoli cells and the developing spermatocytes. And in between the two seminiferous tubules lies the connective tissue, which is known as interstitial connective tissue, in which lies a special type of cell which is known as Leydig cell, which secretes the testosterone, the male hormone. Now the genital ducts. The male genital ducts starts from the vasa efferentia. From the posterior border of each testis arises a series of highly coiled tubules called vasa efferentia or ductuli efferentes. So here you can see the vasa efferentia or ductuli efferentes. They are opening up into the head of the epididymis and join the duct of the epididymis. The epididymis is a comma-shaped body measuring about 4 cm in length, which lies along the posterior border of the each testis. So here you can see this is a comma-shaped body which is lying on the posterior border of the testes, each testis. It consists mostly of a tightly coiled tubule called the duct of epididymis. Now on naked eye inspection, the epididymis can be divided into three parts: the head, the body and the tail. The head is the upper dilated part. You can see here, this is the head part, upper dilated part, and consists mainly of the vasa efferentia that open into the duct of the epididymis. The middle part of the epididymis is known as the body. Now it contains highly coiled duct of epididymis. The smaller inferior part of the epididymis is known as tail here. So here is tail of the epididymis. Within the tail, the duct of epididymis, it becomes the ductus deferens. So you can see the transition between the epididymis and the ductus deferens. Now the duct of the epididymis, it measures about 6 to 7 meters in length and 1 mm in diameter. Now it is lined by pseudostratified columnar epithelium bearing stereocilia. Stereocilia are the structures which are present on the apical surfaces of the columnar cells, which they tend to increase the surface area for absorption. Now a thin layer of smooth muscle is present external to the epithelium in the epididymis. Now what is the function of epididymis? Epididymis serves as a site of maturation of spermatozoa. So spermatozoa, they get stored there for days and they mature. A spermatozoon takes about 2 weeks to travel through the epididymis only. And during this period, the sperm completes its physical maturation and attain motility and fertility. And fertilizability means ability to fertilize ovum. So the ductus deferens, so here you can see the testes and the epididymis. This is the epididymis, and then the epididymis is continuous with the ductus deferens. Now this ductus deferens, also called the vas deferens, is about 4 cm long. It begins in the tail of the epididymis as a continuation of the duct of epididymis. It ascends along the posterior border of the testes, passes through the inguinal canal and enters the pelvic cavity. Now this inguinal canal, it is a space or a passage which lies in the between the muscles of the anterior abdominal wall, and from here it gets entered into the pelvic cavity. As the vas deferens ascends in the scrotum, it is accompanied by blood vessels, nerves and lymphatics of the testes, as well as a thin circular band of skeletal muscle called the cremaster muscle. Now collectively, the vas deferens and its accompanying structures constitutes the spermatic cord. I will show you in the next picture, next slide. In the pelvic cavity, different components of spermatic cord pursue separate courses. The ductus deferens, it curves behind the urinary bladder. So you can see here it is curving behind the urinary bladder over the ureter and runs medially towards the prostate gland. So here it is coming towards the prostate gland. You can see each duct dilates into an ampulla and joins the ducts of the seminal vesicle to form the ejaculatory duct. So here you can see it is joining the duct of the seminal vesicle and forming the ejaculatory duct. So as there are two testes, there are two epididymis, there are two ductus deferens, there are two ejaculatory ducts. But urethra is single. So the Here you can see the spermatic cord. From the testes, it is going upward through the canal, that is the inguinal canal, into the pelvic cavity, and you can see that they are accompanied by the blood vessels and covered by the cremasteric muscle. So this is the spermatic cord. Collectively, this is known as spermatic cord. Ejaculatory duct, this formed by the union of the, you can see here, vas deferens and the seminal vesicle, duct of seminal vesicle and the vas deferens. So this is the ejaculatory duct which is passing through the urethra and opening up into the prostatic part of the urethra. The accessory glands of male reproductive system. The accessory glands secrete the fluid portion of the semen that transports and nourishes the spermatozoa. So function of the accessory glands in the male is to secrete the fluid portion of the semen that helps to transport the spermatozoa and give them nourishment. Now there are glands which are known as seminal vesicles. So these are the seminal vesicles. These are two paired glands that lie behind the base of the urinary bladder just above the prostate gland. Each seminal vesicle is a tubular gland which is coiled and folded to form a compact fusiform body. So here you can see a compact fusiform body. It's about 5 centimeter in length. The two seminal vesicles converge towards each other, and immediately above the prostate, each gland narrows down to form a duct. So here you can see duct of the seminal vesicle, and that joins the ductus deferens of the same side to form the ejaculatory duct. The seminal vesicle contribute to about 60% of the volume of the semen. Now the prostate gland, it is a single and pyramid shaped gland with a diameter of about 4 centimeter. It lies at the base of the urinary bladder and it surrounds the initial part of the urethra. So this is the urethra, initial part of urethra. The prostate gland is in reality a collection of 30 to 40 small compound tubuloacinar glands. The ducts of these glands converge to form 15 to 30 terminal ducts that open up into the prostatic urethra by separate apertures. Stroma of the prostate gland, that is the connective tissue, it is very rich in smooth muscles. The prostatic concretions contribute to about 30% of the semen volume. Now these secretions are ejected into the prostatic urethra by peristaltic contractions of the smooth muscles present in the stroma of the gland. Now the external genitalia, male external genitalia, as I have told you before, the male external genitalia consists of the scrotum and penis. The scrotum is a fleshy pouch suspended below the perineum anterior to the anus. This pouch is divided into two chambers. Here you can see it is divided into two chambers, the scrotal cavities, each of which lodges a testes. The wall of the scrotum consists of thin layer of skin, loose connective tissue and smooth muscle called the dartus muscle. Now the sustained contraction of the dartus muscle produces the characteristic wrinkling of the scrotal surface. Now penis, what is penis? It is a tubular organ that surrounds the urethra. It conducts urine to the exterior and is used to introduce sperm into the vagina of the female. The penis consists of a root. Here you can see it consists of a root that attaches the penis to the body wall, and a shaft. This is its shaft, and this is the main tubular part of the penis, and a glans, which is the terminal expanded part of this organ. So this is the glans. This is the terminal expanded part of the penis. The glans is covered by a fold of skin known as prepuce. Internally, the penis consists of three cylindrical masses of concentric tissues which are bound together by fibrous connective tissue. So I will show you the cut section of the penis in the next slide. So here is the cut section of the penis, you can see, and it is formed internally. The penis consists of three cylindrical masses of erectile tissue. So one mass, second mass, and this one is the third mass, which is surrounding the urethra. The two dorsolateral masses are called corpora cavernosa. So these are the corpora cavernosa. Corpora cavernosa, these ones, corpora cavernosa. They are limited to the shaft and do not extend into the glans penis. That is the terminal part of the penis. The relatively slender mid-ventral mass, it is known as corpus spongiosum. Corpus spongiosum. So corpus cavernosa and corpus spongiosum. So corpus spongiosum, it surrounds the urethra and extends into the glans up to the tip of the penis. Now all three masses of erectile tissue consist of an irregular sponge work of blood sinuses supported by trabeculae of fibroelastic tissue. Now there are large blood sinuses in it, means sinuses means spaces which are filled with blood. During sexual arousal, the arteries supplying the penis, they become dilated, so the supply of the blood to the sinuses of the erectile tissue is greatly increased. Expansion of these blood sinuses compresses the veins draining the penis. So these are the veins which are draining the penis, and they become compressed as a result of the the erectile tissue becomes increase in size. So the veins are compressed. Now the sinuses, they become engulfed with blood, and thus erection occurs. The penis returns to its normal flaccid state when the arteries, they become constricted and the pressure on the veins is relieved. So I hope you have understood now the male reproductive system. It consists of, again I will repeat it, that it consists of the reproductive organ, that is the testes, which produces the gametes, male germ cells, and then the system of ducts which convey these sperms, the gametes, outside to the outside of the body into the female genital tract, and then there are accessory glands which help in the transport and the nourishment of the sperms. So I hope you have understood now the male reproductive system.